Hey guys, so recently I was asked to make a, first of all, just like prerequisite, it's going to be a heavier topic today. It's not a fun one to talk about. I thought I could talk about it. I was like, yeah, I know enough about that. I can talk about that. And then I started and I was like, man, this is really, really hard. Um, because it is such like, I guess, a serious thing. Um, and it affects a lot of people. So today I'm going to be talking about loyalty. Um, Loyalty is specifically loyalty in relationships. Um, I think one of I think one of the biggest pillars for a relationship is the concept of loyalty. I think that's why it's such a unique relationship, because with friendships you can choose to change, your friends. Like, you don't have to stay friends with them forever. Like, that's, people change, you change, but like when you're in a relationship, specifically like in a marriage relationship, you're committing, I'm going to be with you for the rest of my life. And I know, especially nowadays, like they're trying to get away from that because commitment's scary. And it's really, really terrifying. But that's not always the reason for disloyalty. But just to emphasize that loyalty is one of like the big factors in relationships. That's what makes it such a unique one. Um, First off, I want to address, I guess, both sides. I want to talk to people that have, like, I'm sure you guys like know someone that has been cheated on, or um, or you've been cheated on, or you, or maybe even the cheater. You know what I mean? Like, I guess I want to talk to everyone about it. And there's the things, just like the major questions, like, why did you do it? Why did you cheat? Why do you keep why do you keep cheating? You know what I mean? Those kind of questions. And I've seen a couple other videos that have covered it. It's just odd. Even in like the thumb tagline, you can tell that one person is just unrepentant. Like, I think it was like Soul Pancake that their YouTube, um, they make YouTube videos, and I think they covered the topic. And the girl is like so sorrowful in one of the photos, and she's like, "Why did you cheat?" Like, that's like the video title, and then he's just very like stone faced. And I feel like from the beginning, from the get go of that video, you can tell she's not going to be given the aid that she needs, like the answers that she needs, and he's not going to admit to or feel bad about what he did. So I think it's kind of interesting, that side of it. I guess I don't think, and this is probably the main point of the video, I don't think you should be in a relationship, because loyalty is one of the big pillars of being in a relationship. If you're not going to be loyal, I don't think you should be in that relationship, because that's one of the commitments that you're making to somebody. Even in a dating sense, you're making that on a small scale. You're making that on a small scale. Like, if we're monogamous, like, we are going to be together, we're going to be with each other. And if you want to see other people, then you talk about that. And if they don't share that same view, then either you change yours, or maybe you renegotiate to like, well, I'm still looking for people, or you kind of figure out where you stand on that. But it's an open communication, and it's an open agreement. This is what we're doing. And then if you don't agree to that, don't be a part of it. I think it kind of ties in together, like the idea of like sex before marriage and the idea of cheating. Is it kind of goes to a selfishness, I want to say. Like, that's what I would attribute it to. There's desires that aren't being met. Maybe they feel like they've got a legit reason for cheating. They're like, well, my person ignores me. They'll seek out reasons. Then I think it's worth it to talk to them about it, and see if you can figure that out or fix that. And then if they're not willing, again, once again, like, if they're not willing to fix that, then you're like, okay, I know that for myself, and for a long-lasting relationship, I need someone that listens to me. That's just like a small example. So I think sometimes, like, the cheater can have like a reason, and sometimes it's just wanting something new. And if that's your main priority, then I think you shouldn't be in a relationship, especially a long-term one. where you're getting those benefits, because that's just extremely selfish to ask those emotions, that commitment from that person, and then not reciprocate that. Or to do it like unknowingly, like you haven't talked about it, you haven't said like, hey, I'm still like open to seeing people, are you still open to that? Like if they don't share that view, like you guys need to, like, there needs to be like strong communication and strong trust, because especially if it's going to last for a long time, trust has to be present. A few things that I said about it recently, I'm trying to think, because there was a few things that I covered, I don't know. And it's difficult because I don't want to put cheaters in, I guess this is mainly about like cheating on your person. I don't want to put them in a box, because I know that they can be good, caring people, and I know some people are like, no, like if they're cheating, don't like break up with them, like they don't mean anything. Like, it's a very, very interesting topic. So if you are a cheater and you're watching this, one, I don't like calling you a cheater. I don't like calling you that, because I feel like then you yourself have labeled that on yourself, and you're like, well, I'm just a cheater, so I'm gonna cheat. You don't have to. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to be that. Yeah, going back to what I said earlier, the idea of like sex before marriage and cheating is like, it comes down to a selfishness. Like if I was going to, like, I don't know, be making out with boys that didn't mean as much, just for like the sake of me, and like, well, this is what I wanted to do, I can't explain that in any other sense except for this is what suited me best at this moment. And for me, like, the reason why I don't want to, one, cheat, and two, do anything that's not with my husband, is because that's just really, really hard to explain to them that you were just, that you wanted it, and that you were selfish in that instance. Because when you really, really like, when you really love someone, that's not a fun, easy thing to explain. It's not like, yeah, of course I did stuff with other people. And I think it goes back to, how God designed it, like it was meant to be one man, one woman, and them too. You know what I mean? Like any kind of connection. If you are doing marriage stuff outside of a marriage, there's going to be repercussions in the relationship. I feel like that's just part of it that goes along with it, just because that's not how it's intended to be, which is really, really hard, because even liking guys, and even, dating guys in a Christian setting, you have to be very, very careful of what you do, because it is such like a sensitive, important thing. But at the same time, not to like, we can't do anything. Oh, no, 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 no. Like, I think it's good to know yourself. One of the best pieces of advice that I think I've gotten out of the thing is like, don't do anything that you wouldn't, like if you're doing stuff that would have, like, this sounds so weird and so awkward, but like if you're doing stuff that would like arouse desires that can't be fulfilled, then you're doing too much. Like if you're hanging out with a guy or whatever, and like you're kissing him and you're like, well, I want to do more, but you're not married, then you should stop, because you can't fulfill that in a godly way. So I guess that's been my take on it. And the same, like if you are in a relationship and you're doing something and you're like, whoa, this makes me want to do more, if that's going to cause you to disrespect your current relationship, you shouldn't be doing it. You should step back. You should get away. Also, to people that have a difficult time cheating, don't, like, knowing your sensitivity to that, because some people are just more prone. Like some people, they're and I, like, for me it's eating, like that's a challenge, like that's something I have to work around, and like working on my relationship with that, so I'm not putting myself in temptation, places where it's difficult. Just know yourself and then set up boundaries accordingly. Like if you know that you have a difficult time doing that, don't place yourself in situations where you're like, maybe I'll see this person, and maybe there's going to be things involved that might involve me, or like that might help me let my guard down. Like that's not a good spot to put yourself in. So and then ultimately, like, it can be difficult because you can even know like this isn't right, but you still have like your selfish desires, and then knowing like if you put yourself in a more vulnerable position, like maybe you're drinking and like you know that your guards can be down, you're going to be less morally strong, then you shouldn't be putting yourself in that, because you know if you care about your person on the other side. And for me, like the man that I'm not married to yet, and for someone that is in a relationship, because you love them, because you care about them, you don't do it. um, so I think it involves like knowing yourself and then knowing where your priorities stand. um, if you know that like yeah, like you care about your person and you're just more tempted in those situations, go with your person, like be sensitive to that. And then if you are with somebody and you're like, well, I still might, then I don't think you should be. So, like with them, because especially if that's not something that they've agreed to, if they haven't agreed to something. So that's what I have to say about the topic. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as you can, because it is kind of a serious thing. A lot of information. I hope you guys have a good day, and I hope it gives you guys something to think about, and something like, even if you have cheated in the past, or if you're thinking of cheating, like just think about some of the things that I talked about in this video. So I hope you guys learned something, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.